Hello, everybody. This is Max Farrow from DexFXMarkets.com. Today is the 30th of June, 2020. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I'll be honest with you. I have a story to tell you, but in a second, we'll talk to about that process. I'm joined by Thor Rafferty. Good morning, Thor.
Good morning.
And of course, Christophe Gagne.
Hello, Max. Good morning.
So today, June 30th, is an important date to me because several years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. Oh, it's a fun talk today. That's what it is. And I've always been a fighter in my life. You know, I've always found myself wanting to always get past the obstacles that are put in my way. Sometimes I could have probably easily just sidestepped a few things like smoking, but I powered through stuff, and it caused me my own problems. So sometimes they were self-made issues that I've had to fight through. But in this particular case, it had nothing to do with that. And I had gone through some treatments that put me into a bed for almost 3 years. And it was tough. It was tough to get through. And I had suffered enough one day and decided to chop wood. And I know this sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. I had actually asked my wife at the time to get me an axe and put it beside the bed so I could grab onto it and hobble myself outside. And I picked up the axe and put it into a piece of wood, and I went back in and slept for 4 hours. And then picked up the axe again, went out the next day, and just kept that progression day in, day out. By the end of that year, I was cutting a cord of wood in less than an afternoon by hand. And I was ready. I was ready to go. It sounds like a made-for-TV movie kind of montage, cue the Rocky music here. But it's true that that's how I've been my entire life, pushing myself, making things happen. One day in the middle of the summer, my wife said, you're looking good. Your color's back. You should go to the doctors to see how well everything's going. And they told me at that particular day that I was cancer-free, that all the chemo, all the stuff that I had to go through worked. All that craziness, all that weakness and unsuredness if I was going to be around was finally at its bay. And that was on June 30th. So we celebrated, we call it my rebirth day. So happy rebirth day. All right. Maybe some of you have those kind of stories. I know Dex FX Markets lives in its shadow, sort of like I've lived my life. I'm pretty sure it's sort of like Thor and Christoph have lived theirs, that they all have their stories in their process. And we look forward to hearing your story coming into this. I know it's not easy to process trials and tribulations with some. We seem to have it on a regular basis here at Dex because this industry is riddled with people that are trying to either take your money or steal your money. I guess take or steal, same thing, right? Or try to convince you that they are what they're not. Do you two ever think, do we sound like scammers, with these webinars and all that kind of stuff from your perspective?
No, absolutely not. We're I don't know, when you say sound like, no, we absolutely don't, and we aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been scammed.
Yeah.
I've been through it and thrown away money on scams. Some as cheap as $20, some as cheap as expensive as $300-400 a month.
Right.
And no, we don't sound like scammers. We are here. You can
Right.
call. You can set up an appointment with me. I had one this morning at 10. I got another one at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And I will be there to call you back for that appointment.
Right.
No scammer does that.
No.
They hide behind being anonymous. They hide behind everything they can. No.
I agree with you. We, one of my older partners, Amy, had one day came to me and said, Max, we got somebody who called the business because we've had the telephone on on the website for the longest time. She goes, somebody called my cell phone. I was like, I know, I put your cell phone on by accident. I was supposed to put mine. And she looked at me, she says, what are you doing? Why would we talk to every single person? And I had to convince her, it was tough. I was like, listen, we do need to talk to these people. If they have a problem, we need to talk to them. She goes, but you're going to get a lot of people are going to call. So I put my personal phone number on. And I started getting these phone calls. And they would go something like this. Yeah, I guess that answers my question. I was like, what question is that? And they would say, well, I wanted to see if you were a scam, but I called you, and who in their right mind would put their phone number on the website, and then scam you? I was like, oh, I don't know. If you have a Skype number or something, you can be creative and kind of steal people's money still. And he goes, good point, but you're talking to me, so I have questions. And they started asking questions. By the end of the call, it was easily proven. You see, you don't have to prove to anybody you're not a scammer. Just don't be a scammer. Just tell people the truth. Be transparent as much as you can. No good businessman is going to tell you the daily workings of everything they do, and the secret sauce of the code, right? But you do have to be transparent. You have to be upfront with people. And I think the hardest part is that when you take a hit, when something goes wrong, what do you say? You don't blame everybody else in the world. Things break, what have you. The whole thing with Nadex's code stuff, we knew about it. We knew that it was coming. We couldn't have prepared any better than what we have already for it, because simply they hadn't released anything like it. There's so many different ways that you could encode their login page. There's no way we could have known which way they were going to do. Oh, Max, but you had access to their new system. Yeah, absolutely. And we got some great things for it when we can get through the door. Now, they know a lot about us. They know a lot about our system. They have it. And we know that they've sort of maybe have cheated a little to get it. Okay, because proprietary information is not open source. So we know that they have the code. They have the system in there for whatever reason. If they were smart business people, they would send somebody in to buy it and own it and give it to them. Be smart. But for us, what does it come down to be not a scammer or rip people off? And see, there could be people with the best laid intentions, and it just happens. And that's what's happened to us at times. But we've also had and still have some very powerful tools that work. And you can't dispute that they work, because you have people like David Menning and Trader J in here. Well, I didn't see this until just now. This is in Discord on a 1 hour 45-55 movement just this morning. 2 contracts. Excuse me. I don't know if this is live or not. Excuse me. I can't remember who Trader J is. Yeah, so he had a good day. David Menning, 55-45. Let's see. What did David Menning have today? Now, I know David Menning is going to be going on vacation for a little while, and he may not trade as much. But I know that he had that's a pretty good day, $247 day. Not an increase in contracts, increase in trades, it looks like. Remember, David Menning's retired, so he's at home a lot. He gets a lot of time to trade. So pretty good day. Me, I made 0 yesterday. Shame on me, only because I've been so busy trying to get the stuff for Zedon out. Chris, how did you do yesterday?
I had $168. I was going to update my journal. You'll see that I got them posted, but my internet went out.
Right. Oh, your internet. You mean you're strong?
Hard to believe.
I don't find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's not his phone, it's his internet. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Mom, I would have taken the trash out, but I had an email to write. We love Chris.
Believe me, with 8 children, I've heard all the excuses.
Yeah, so, I know. I was going to say.
I don't feel bad.
You could definitely come up with them, buddy. That's good. Max, the dog ate my homework. I would have made it. I would have been on time. There you go. In the 30 seconds, I saved your ass. There you go. This is a pretty good day, Chris. This is a beautiful day. Up. No, that's a. Oh, that's one. Oh, wait, there's a loss. We want to change that color, right? We don't want your losses to actually look like they're wins. So you lost 1 out of, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You didn't make $109 yesterday. You made 211. Did I do that right? Oh, that's a 28th. Oh, sorry. You did make. Yeah, look at me. 162.25. There you go. Yeah. So, oh, this is the blue line of live. There you go. The blue line of live. So in testing demo. So we started testing in demo. Remember, we talked yesterday about the hodgepodge of stuff, just kind of figuring out what he wanted to do, all that kind of stuff. If we were to actually take this solution here from the live point, I'm just going to copy this. We're going to do that. I'm going to then create a new live sheet here. Where is it at? There it is. And we're going to do live ATM. And bink, and put that there. Bink, and jump back over to the other one. Grab these, put this there. You see, making a journal can become very simple, especially when you've done a lot of them. Go up to view, go to freeze, go to 4 lines. There it is. And that's what it is. There we go. Since you've gone live, $211, not bad. 1 contract at a time, even better for now. In about 2 more weeks. No, probably. Okay, so here's the thing, right? When you're going live, people ask all the time, how many contracts should I go with? Well, if you have $3,000 in your account, start with 1 contract. If you start with $5,000 in your account, 1 contract. Why do I tell you that? Well, simply enough, you have to engage with a goal system, and we call this the incremental crawl. Create yourself a level. Even if you have a lot of money in your account and you're ready to start it, you could start at 5 contracts. You haven't learned what it felt like to live the live button at 1 contract. So if you normally can trade, there's 11 a.m. and 11 a.m. If you're normally trading 2 trades at one time and you're doing 1 contract, then you should have at least, $2,000 in your account. And that would be the most that you would need to have at that point. The least you would probably need to have is about $1,000 to trade 2 contracts or 2 trades at once. Remember, this is how many contracts should I be trading per session, not per trade, but per session at any one time. So if you have $1,000 and you're risking $500 or $500, you're risking $55. I usually have about a 10% process in there, right? So I'm looking at what's 55 times 10, that's 550. So if you have about $1,100, then you could do about 2 trades per session, or one trade with 2 contracts on it. See how that makes sense? If you have $2,200 in there, you could do the same trades that Chris just did here at the 11 a.m. and simply do 2 contracts at a time. Get your balances to that process by incrementally crawling. So for every $550 here, he can add a single contract to his trades. If he's only trading 1 trade per session, like in this particular one. Now, I would never, ever, 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 ever stagger. I wouldn't, because we're inviting Murphy's Law in here. If you have 2 trades here and you put 1 for 2 contracts and 1 for 1, which one you losing? You could say it. The one with 2 on it. That's the one you're losing. How do I know that? Because Murphy, if you ever heard of Murphy's Law, he's the one that's going to come in and punch you right in the face with that one. Make it very smooth and statistical. Okay. Make it all very smooth. 1 contract, 1 contract, 1 contract. When you decide to go to 2 contracts, simply go to 2 contracts, and each trade that you do will have 2 contracts on it. Now, if you lose that very first one, which is a high statistical rate, you're going to lose the first one you go with an increasement, and it drops you down your level that you've marked in the sand to increase. Guess what you do? You drop back down to 1 again until you get up to another nice little buffer. Okay. and you start trading at that. Now, if you already have $5,000 or $6,000 in there, maybe you don't need to change it every $550. Maybe it needs, you could do it every $250 or $150 that you have. But create yourself a goal to incrementally crawl to that process. Don't just go in willy-nilly and start trading. Well, let me trade 5 now. Oh, I lost that one. Let me trade 10. Because those kind of mentalities will start doing what we call chasing the dragon. And it's an old, what is that? It's an old drug term, right? Not that I was out doing drugs or anything, but I know of it. And that thought of always chasing the greed, if you will, right? That little greed dragon that you see every once in a while. You know, you need extra cash, or you have to make it work. Sometimes necessity forces the greed to pop out as well. So keep that in mind. All right. So Chris, wonderful day yesterday, huh?
Yeah, definitely a good day. Just like to point out, I think Thor consistently explains this, and it really works. And you take a look at the trend, and you take a look for the arrow, you know, whether it's a buy or sell. So it's above or below. You look left, and you know, not necessarily terribly far, but far enough. And then you go with the trend. The trend is your friend to the end. And
Right.
it really, it just works beautifully. Everything just falls right into place, limited to no stress on your trade. And if you get a blowout, you get a blowout. You know, there's not much you can really do. It's gonna happen. Some news hits or whatever. So on Thor's videos, when he shows that, and on these as well, use that trend, use those indicators and arrows and your EMA, and then you can make your decisions within seconds. So like we keep saying, you don't have to sit in front of your computer all day. It takes 5 minutes or so to go through all the pairs, even less time, and you're just using the master pairs in the evenings. And boy, I tell you, works like a champion. That's all I'm saying.
You know, there's I'll branch off on that just a little bit. So in the access of the ATM solution, the MA, the moving average, the 50 moving average is your friend, right? And if you see like there's a little boiling point where there's, you know, you don't really know, you're really splitting this 50-50. What they're saying about, you know, the trend is your friend is that it's not just about, you know, oh, seeing the MA and it's pointing up, right? Like in here, is it pointing down? You know, oh, is it pointing up here at this point? Can you still win this trade at the money? The answer is yes, you possibly still win the trade. But we've learned over a period of time that there's more success at the money when you're following with the trend. So this one kind of goes against the trend, and it has a healthy trend, right? It's moving moderately up as it goes, right? You got this little pullback that happens here, and it goes underneath. Now, this would actually say, okay, over under strategy, right? If it's under the process, would you still go with it? Would you have still won? The answer is yeah, you would have won this trade. Okay, there's where it ended underneath where this one was, about 2 pips in the process. So what we look at is that when you do this trend is your friend mentality, okay, you wouldn't have taken that one, you wouldn't have taken that one, you wouldn't have taken that one, but you would have taken this one. Now, you've missed out on 3 or 4 trades. So there's times that you could have taken a trade and still won at that progress, like something like this. So there's something to say to just go after them all, but you're going to trade a lot more, but you're always going to come back to the mean. You're always going to come back to that process of, you know, if you're trading a lot more, you're going to lose a little more. But if you're doing like what Chris and Thor and other people are doing, you're taking really strong trades like this one here. Easy win, right? Price came out, big win, didn't even look back. Now, this one here would have been a loss if he was taking every single one, but he didn't trade it, so he wouldn't have lost. This one here, he wouldn't have won either because it broke against his rule of over under and following the trend. Once it goes above the process and gives him his first arrow, he then goes with that trend. And we used to do this process with the TNT is that the first one after it goes over the line has the strongest capability with the trend. Okay. So that one won. He didn't take that one because it went against a trend. Now, once it gets really super far away, I probably wouldn't be trading, 2 or 3 into the trend because you're going to get pulled back. All right. So keep that in mind as you guys are trading that. So don't forget, the trend is your friend until it ends. And usually it's ended on, a signal after a few times with this much pullback from it. Right. You look at 74.28, the MA is all the way back down to 73.92. There's about 40 pips, right? Where the average good, healthy trend is only about 10 to 15 pips away from the MA at any time. Once it starts to really pull away, it really does. It wants to come home. It just wants to click its heels and try to come back to the MA to wherever it may be at. And if I were to draw this out, this is where I feel it's going to kind of come back to at that point. Okay. Now, remember also is that you have so much opportunity to trade because that's not the only pair that we're trading. That was just the Audi JPY. If you did just sit down and trade like the Euro USD or you picked your favorite pair, you could probably trade once or twice a day and easily find, come in at the top of the hour. Here's, oh, look at this trend, friend, got it, on, win, right? A little bit of pullback, that kind of stuff. Here, I probably wouldn't take that one. Didn't take, would have taken, would have won. Didn't take, would have taken, would have won. You see? So in this process, you're still trading with the 45-55 mentality of at the money and taking the open price. But now you're filtering out a lot more trades. You're not getting as many, but you're filtering them out. And that's very strong. That's super strong to be looking at it as a way to create yourself a timing solution that gives you the rules, right? And if you got one more that filters out, that's okay. But remember, you can also trade every single one and just take your losses when you do them because you don't want to miss some of the other ones. But as a bot would come in and do, a bot would come in and take all these trades and just let it all wash out at the end, which before we got kicked from the system, we were doing with this kind of mentality. Now, this kind of mentality uses not an at the open price, but at the, it's an ITM statement with a 45-55 profit margin. It's crazy. So it does work on many different levels. And we just have to figure out what level it works for you. Chris, great job. Thor, what about you?
Yesterday, I really didn't trade, to be honest. I had several appointments all through the day.
Mm-hmm.
I did take 3 trades, lost the first one and won the next 2, so it was a wash day. Just one of those days. It was one of those days. I think I lost $2.50
Right,
because
right.
I lost the first trade, which is going to happen. But unfortunately, I was all over the place during the day and couldn't really sit down and trade. I think I grabbed a couple late in the evening, which both won, and so it was a total wash. So
right.
Some days it's just better not to trade.
Right.
So what Chris is saying is absolutely great. I mean, it's only taken him 2 years to learn this, but I'm glad to hear he's got it.
He's finally in now.
And you guys keep hurting my feelings. So
That's not too difficult, Chris, is it? Really?
No, it's not.
There is just something. Nobody's mentioned news avoidance.
Yeah,
and that it's okay saying, we'll trade this and trade this and trade that, but to me, from one of the first days of my learning, when you're self, Max, was first thing you do is check your news.
Right.
Check the news for the day, because even though these signals are fantastic and working tremendously well for everyone, I still check the news. I'm you just don't know what's around the corner. If you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. But if you have a heads up that the news is happening, or heavy news, then it's advisable to take heed on it. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. There is still news avoidance to a certain level. I've stopped my share here for a second, so let me bring back up. Where is it at? There we go. I've used a little bit of both. The mentality with the 615 here, data is that there's no news avoidance. There's no filters. There's no performance filters. Just go straight through news. This week's the NFP. We have a tremendous amount of information coming out. Wednesdays are tough. Thursdays, Fridays are all tough. I'm hoping to get everything back on with the Xenon here in the next day or so we can start utilizing that data again. But I go in and I look at, like before I used to go in on Sunday and kind of look at the news and figure out what my trading week was going to be like, right? But for now, what I do is that right before I come in and sit down, I sit down like 5 minutes to the top of the hour, and I just go to investing.com, or I go to our little news portal system here, and I look, and if there is like maybe a 2 bull or 3 bull news process happening, like if something like this is kind of going on, I know it's a little tough morning, right? There's a lot of stuff releasing this morning, right? And it just keeps going, 1230, 1400. This might be a day where I kind of just go, all right, this is a lot of news. I'm probably going to avoid my time frame, right? Also keep in mind, if you're only trading a couple of hours during a time period, you might run into a time block that maybe loses twice in 2 days. Maybe, trading a process over a little while, you may have a bad day or two, but you shouldn't have a bad week, right? And if you're avoiding news at a time and then you get something like with Thor, he's got some meetings to go to, you may not have the same kind of success others have who are sitting down all day long or throughout the day. Most people look at this as like, I don't really have to go in and trade a lot. I'm just going to trade over a longer period of time. Like David Menning doesn't trade sitting down at his computer for 14 hours a day, but he may sit down for 10 minutes at the top of the hour, do his trade, get up and go do something else, go take a nap, come back, go fishing, come back in a couple of hours, do another couple of trades, and that's it. And once he gets that CVG down, do you think David Menning at this, let me find where he's at. Wrong one. I'm just all over the place this morning. I apologize. This is David Menning's $247 day, which was yesterday. Okay. Do you think that if his goal was $100 a day, well, he's met his goal, of course, but could he have met his goal within this time frame? Could he have met his goal within that first 4 trades or first 3 trades of the day? Yeah, if he was trying to get $100, he made $53 out of it, if I'd done the calculation right. And if he had 2 contracts, then he would have made 106. That would have been his goal. Now, if this is all he did every single day at this algorithm, like say if he did these 4 trades right here, this is about $96 worth of profit right here, right? Is it right? Yeah, about $96 worth of profit right here. If he was trading 5 contracts at a time, he just made $500. If this is all he did every day, it's 3 to 4 trades, and he found it between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., sorry, then his day is pretty dang good. And if I were to come back and look at every single time that's between 6 and 9 and isolate that out and simply add CVG, then what do we have? We already have a winning system. You just have to find your timing. And I want to show you this because it is about transparency. Paul, you've been in trading the system as well, right?
Yeah.
And this happened to you just recently. On 624 and 623, you had 2 back-to-back, or even 625, almost 3 days with a couple, but you only have a short period of time to be able to trade between 8 and 10 Eastern time, right? Or somewhere in that area. Looks like you do 4 a.m. too. So, and this is the beginning part of the European session that starts at this time, or is starting to close out. They close out about noon. But at this particular time, this is a pretty hard session to be in because it's right at the beginning part of the open for the US session. And as I look, it filters out. You're not in a loss. You're still in the positive, but you also started out a little odd too. There was some 28s and you were still working on some other things in here, right?
Yeah, because when you said 45, when we were discussing it, I thought you meant, 45% or something. I was going, and I'm thinking, what's he doing?
Why would he do that?
Yeah, but I just went with the flow. I mean, it's first thing in the morning. I wasn't really thinking.
Yeah, no worries.
6 o'clock in the morning when I was setting it all up. But Yeah, and I went along with the flow. And when I started getting these losses, I thought, well, this is really strange. I've never ever had that amount of losses in a row. But then, as you can see on the picture I put here,
Right.
which was on the manual trade, because this was a Xenon. When I looked at this, as you can see, and I saw the signal for the Xenon Go, or whichever one it was, I've got it now.
Oh, this is
And
ZDOM
I
data?
looked at it. Yeah, some of it is.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I haven't explained it very well, but I went manual on the 89 one,
Okay.
because I looked at the signal and I thought, oh, I can see what's going to happen here, because it's
going to pull back.
It's in your face. Yeah, it's in your face. So I got in manually there and went for 2, because I knew, let's say 99.999 recurring % sure it was going to go that way.
Right.
And then the signal suddenly struck as well at the same time. So it was a bonus. I got the 2, the manual and the
this one.
bot. Yeah. So I was more than happy with that. It sort of made up for the last 3 days, not in finance, but in my clarity.
Right. Well, here's the thing too. So what you've done here is you've used an ITM pullback, right? Like we knew that because the signal was for 1218 and you're back at 1226. So what you did is you pulled back to an area because you've seen a diagnosis of the support and resistance, which you've been reading for a millennia. And you knew that if I came back to it and it touched that, at least I know that I'll get my 45, which you did. You got 46.50, right, per contract on a sell. That's really good. That's even a little bit more than, the 45. So you were able to do that, double your contract over. Now, you're a seasoned trader, so I'm not trying to tell everybody you got to do one contract at a time at all times, but it's best if you do. In Paul's case, he can do whatever he wants. He's been doing this a very, very long time.
Yeah, don't follow me because I scalp out.
Right. Yeah. Right. But we've always said, you got to be able to scalp out on both sides. You got to know when it's going to go bad, but you also got to know when it's going to go good. So, it's not just about scalping out green. And so in this case, if we utilized, this isn't all just about, because some of this is mixed data. So you got Xenon. I thought this was your all manual trade. But this manual trade, if this is all you did every day, you just came in and found one good, one of these trades, and that's all you did, then you got a good number with it, right? In most cases, let me see if I can find something. This is live strategy. Here's a split test. This is, I don't know. I can't remember whose information this is. Oh, I think this is David Menning's, something that stopped on that day. Yeah. Okay. But this is the bot doing its job, right? And the bot's going to do its job regardless of whether or not it sees a bad day or has a bad day with that process. But the problem with this is that you're going to get a lot more trades. You're going to not have the greatest success rate. That's really good, actually. Success rate. But you're going to see that some pairs don't do as good as others. Like the EU is not really powerful as much as we want to think it is, right? The Great Britain pound JPY, 2-2, Euro Great Britain pound, 0-1. So we may not trade that one. We may not trade the Audi JPY, because you get these even out bases. We're looking for things like the Aussie USD, the Euro JPY. Those look really good, especially the USD JPY. Incredible, 6-0. So this data that we collect as we go, this is what's going to set your tone. This is what David Menning done in the very beginning. In fact, this is even what Chris did, unbeknownst that what he was doing here was creating an idea of what he wanted to use and not use, what he liked and didn't like. And that's a compliment as well. Okay. This isn't just about what works in strategy, but also what works for you in strategy. Time frames, pick a session. And each one of these little decisions that you do is important because what did you say yesterday, Chris? Something about, are you successful because you like what you do, or are you successful because you do what you like?
Yeah, that's the paradox. Are you good at it because you like it, or do you like it because you're good at it?
Right. And that's what you have to ask yourself. If you're here for trading just to get money, it can be done, but that's a different mentality. If you're here because you like trading, I think you should be institutionalized. But yeah, But there is
You know,
some stay for it.
you know, mate. See, that's the beauty about the Xenon and the
Mhm.
bot is that I like manually trading and I like the Xenon. So it was a good mixed match. You know, I didn't really care what I was doing, but I did enjoy the thrill of the trade. However, with the Xenon, of course, what you have to remember is once you switch it on, there's no emotion.
Yeah.
There's no human emotion there. It's just doing its thing. You know, whereas when you're trading physically, manually, the emotion's there, you know, and you come back the last 10 minutes of the trade or last 5 minutes, I do sometimes. And yeah, if you want a heart attack, watch it. But
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
How one of the things that we're going to be doing with all the den members, and if you're watching this now, you're probably going to be one of the den members. If you're watching this now, if you're not a den member, you better become one, because this will be one of the last videos that we have out to non-den members and to non-green room members. And we'll explain that here in just a minute. But the idea of watching the trades, if you're strong-willed and you're good at the game and you're confident in the process and you really don't care, watch. But if you do care, if you do get involved, if you get like that trigger finger, like, should I get out? Oh no, it's 3 pips away. Should I get out now? No, wait. Oh no, it's in the right. It's in the red. I'm losing my money. Oh my God, I'm going to be broke. If you start to have this inner conversation with yourself of, you know, and you're yelling at it. Like back in the day, I was like, come on, 1 pip. What's 1 pip? Come on, we're friends. Just give me a pip. One time. How about just a half a pip? I'll walk. Come on. And then you'll find yourself to use like the 12 steps of depression, if you will, or grief to try to get through it. And then, you know, every once in a while you try to use, you know, Star Wars, the Force at it, and you're trying to choke hold the computer, right? Like, come on, let's go. It's like you put all your emphasis, like, 1 more pip. And then I've seen times where it was like, I was so far in a loss. I'm like, yeah, I've lost this one. And then I look over 17 pips later, like, oh, okay, I'm winning. And I've been in the opposite. I've been 20, 30 pips in the win. Be like, yeah, I got this. I'm going to go downstairs and open up the champagne. I just made, you know, how much money? And you're already spending it. Come back 10 minutes later and you've lost the trade. What I've learned is that at the top of the hour, and if you adopt this, please let me know. It's a very strategic process. Is that I sit down on my computer 10 minutes before. I don't look at a chart. I don't look at Nadex. I sit and I either watch a little YouTube thing and I wait for exactly the top of the hour to hit, and I jump right into the trade of looking at the chart or looking at the signal. Okay, because we're going to have our ATM signals up and firing off this week. I look at that signal. I go to Nadex. I get my price. I look at above and below. And when I'm trading the ATM process, if I'm not looking to go inside and move around too much, I just want to trade the chart. If I'm going to trade the chart, I don't even care what won or what lost last time. I just go down methodically. I look for my trade that I want to get into, and then I place my trade. The only time I know if that previous trade won or lost is when I go into Nadex to pull my data so I can fill out my journal. I create that kind of cleanup mentality afterwards because I can't let the progression of what happened 5 minutes ago affect my process of making my decision now. Right now, sometimes it'll be told to me, you know, into a trade. Like if I got into this trade, I know that particular trade, I know I would have lost, right? And making that decision for the following trade sometimes can, you know, I can see it, but I also know I can't allow it to become my fuel or my fodder for my next trade. I also, like, if I got into this trade, would know I've won when I get up to here to look for this trade, right? So there is a method to the madness of not allowing the market to fuel your emotion and just make it methodical. Some people can do that. The reason why we tell most people to come on board, if you're coming on board, learn how to trade the system, don't relax on the bot, is because in most cases, how many of you know how to set a fire or create fire? You don't know what you don't know what emergencies you have until you don't have those products anymore. if you're looking to make money, the bot is one way to do it. But what happens when Nadex decides that they want to change their login details and you're without it for a week or 2 days or 3 days or however long it'll be? We had some people come to us be like, Max, I came here for the bot. I don't need all this other nonsense of you guys in there making money. Well, guess what, folks? I make more money than the bot. I make more money when I trade manually than I'll ever make during the bot. I would have to quit for 5 years and just turn the bot on full bore for it to actually catch up to how much money I've made over the bot or any bot. In fact, I was a great proponent of telling you don't ever trade with a bot. I don't know if you guys remember those days. It was bots don't work, of course, and I made one, and it worked for a long time until the broker broke it. That's why they call them brokers. They should call them breakers, not brokers. All right. Poor dry humor. That just died right there. No laugh. Not even a laugh from Chris. Jeez. I'm doing poor today. All right.
Hey, you hurt my feelings enough. I'm not laughing at any more of your jokes. That's it. It's over.
Poor Chris. All right. That's all I got for you now. That's just poor Chris all the time. All right. The den is we've starting to get some more members climbing in. And it's important for all of you to know that there is only limited room in there for this first release. And we're going to be possibly approaching that here soon. So as most of you know, Dex Effects has been around for some time now. The Dex brand has been around for a long time. We started out with Dex Signals, went to Dex Trader, have Dex Indicators. Now, they weren't remodels of what we had done, started over to try to create a different name. We just created the different names because at first Dex Signals was a little tough to swallow because we weren't just a signal company. We then were like, oh, then let's make a Dex Trader. It'll be there forever. But we don't just help traders now. We help investors and wealth builders and that kind of stuff. Dex Effects Markets was the final name of it because we knew that we were included in a lot of different markets, and the effects that it had was a play on words, right? So many play on words, 4X, FX, a whole bunch of things. So that's why we came out with Dex Effects Markets. Now, this process of the den is important because it's an exclusive network. That's what DEN stands for, Dex Exclusive Network. And that exclusive network will be housed with several people, lots of people in there, using various tools and various systems. After we meet and greet and put them through the basic, it's like a boot camp, if you will. Some of you have already been through that boot camp. Some of you already know what it's like to trade, but you wanted the availability to be inside so you could get the hands-on attention and the training and everything else. Okay. But a word of warning: if you choose to be into the den, be prepared to be held accountable for your work. We're going to want to see a journal. We're going to want to have conversations with you. You're going to be in meetings. You're going to be coming into, it's our job. If you're in the Dex Effects network, exclusive networks, okay, if you're in that network, then you want the opportunity to make live money. That's your goal, to make live money for real, start it happening, get through all this nonsense of worry or for trying to figure all that stuff out, learn from the people that are physically doing it, like myself and Christoph and Paul and Thor and all these other people who are out there making money, okay? And stop with the excuses. Stop with, oh, I don't have a lot of time, Max. Just give me the bot. Well, then go sit into the secondary room we have, which you'll be more than welcome into, okay? And we call this the green room. The green room is like for those stars that sit there, and you guys are superstars to us, of course. But before you go on stage, so if you think Den is the stage, this is where we're performing. This is where we're really doing it. Doesn't mean you can't make money in the green room. You can. Trust me, doing there, just doing manual, doing whatever you're doing, right? You follow the training, get everything on. And if you're in this green room and you're waiting for this process, once we take, because there's another room after this and it sits out here, okay? It's not really outside the bounds, but I didn't have enough room in here. But this is the live room, right? Once the Den members go live, they go into a different place where I have other people in there making sure that you're serviced and taken care of. This is like the VIP, right? So this is the I don't know, Velp or very important live people, right? The Den is the exclusive network to get you to a point of going live. And then once you do, we make sure that, you know, all your tools, everything, whatever you need from that point. And this has even another level of exclusivity to it, right? It doesn't cost anything to get in from that point, but to maintain the process, there's going to be service fees in this system in here. From that process. Okay. As long as you paid your membership, if you're a co-founder or a founder or or the old diamond execs, then you don't have to pay the membership to be in here, but the membership is $2,400 to get in there. Okay. We do have payments of $100 and $200 that you can use to pay. Okay. And once you start paying on this, you have immediate access. Today was supposed to be the last day that we're going to keep everything open, but we're keeping everything open till July 7th because I'm going on vacation with this whole thing with the ZDON being punched in the face. I wanted to extend some time out so you know that it's ready. Starting tomorrow, the people that we already have in the Den, we're going to be reaching out to you. There'll be a couple meetings that we're going to do from now until the 3rd, or to the 2nd. I'm sorry. The 3rd, I'm gone on this Friday, and I'll be gone until the 7th. When I come back, or there's a 6th, and I'll be back on the 7th. When I come back, I'll be fresh and ready to go. I'll actually had a weird vacation, which is pretty cool. And we'll go from there. But starting tomorrow, we'll be reaching out to some of the people in the Den to start your meetings, to start your process. We're going to give you a level of, not so much as like a grade, but what level you need to start at. We're going to have some pretty cool things. Let me see if I can find it here. Nope, that's not it. Nope. There it is. Okay. You're all going to come in at the Den start. You're going to go through your consult. We're going to figure out what system you're going to trade with. You're going to go into Den Learn, which will be your next level up, where you'll be watching the videos and going through the courses. You'll be going through Den Training, this is demo and learning the system and what you're doing, whether it's the ZDON or the ATM. Trust me, nobody's going to come in and start with the ZDON. Nobody's going to come in. I mean, if you already own a ZDON and all that kind of stuff, you can use that in a green room style, but I'm not going to allow you to come in and start talking about the ZDON. How do I set it up? Where can I go set it up and all that stuff? This is what you're going to do first. So be prepared that if you're coming in, you're going to learn the manual side of it. Just real quick. If you're just here to learn it real quick so you can go use a ZDON, I'm okay with that. But once it comes time down to doing the ZDON part of it, then that's a different mentality. And you're going to have to be held accountable for your journal, the tracking system, all that stuff, right? So that's the other thing. After you go to Den Train and you're in their trading demo, you have to be tracking it the entire time. And we're going to have access to that tracking, just like we have with like all of these people's stuff in here. And it's going to be on a special page for us. Okay. So that's the most important part for us, is to be able to systematically get you through these processes. In the meantime, you're going to be communicating with us in a special group called Discord and or Zoom or the chat or what have you. We'd rather you communicate with us in here, because there'll be other people in this network through Discord that'll be there for you as well. Okay. These groups in here are really cool because they have a lot of great people in here already trading, already doing their thing. Okay. So we're going to have these rooms set up in here to where you can have access to those people. The only access you won't have are to, if they want to, because there's a special room that the live members can go to that you won't be able to access them while they're trading, right? They can talk to each other or what have you, whether they're trading live, unless they want to talk to you and all that kind of stuff, right? At the end of that, once you start training and you're demoing and you're doing all that stuff, you're going to have a consult once you think you're ready, okay? Or once we see that, hey, you've gotten 3 weeks, 4 weeks worth of data. You've gotten another month worth of time on, the system works. What is it stopping you from going live? Let's talk about this. Let's get you on board. Let's get you on. It's our job to get you to live. It's your job to provide your time and your effort and your money to get to that point, but it's our job to help you get there. Once that happens, we start you back off at one contract. You fight through that process. You make your trades. We celebrate. Okay. We celebrate because you're making money now. You're in Making Live, and then you just keep going. And you go until you get to that point where we call the Den Wealth Program. And this program is going to have a whole nother set of processes with it. It's pretty exciting. You're going to find yourself in a completely different mentality. Because could you not take these kind of numbers and turn them into wealth for yourself? I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did, so I'll live with it. But creating wealth at this level, you may look at this and go, $1,700, Max, that's not a lot of money. Yes, it is. It is a lot of money. It is so much money you won't even know until you see it. And you can't see it unless you add a V and a G to it. The consistency is worth everything to this person. The consistency is worth everything to this person. The consistency is worth everything to these people, to these groups, to me. These particular type of numbers are so consistent, and we don't just have one way to make them consistent. And I want you to think about this. What do you mean you don't just have one way, Max? Your whole system is one way. No, it's not. There's multiple different ways in this network to make the consistency happen. What ways are they? Well, the consistency can happen through dailies, 1 hours and 2 hour TNT trades trading on an ITM. So you have signals. And we'll call them TNT signals. These work. Thor, do the daily signals and those processes work?
Yeah.
Do they make
Yeah.
money?
Yes. You know, and it's kind of the basis of everything we've built from there out.
Right. Do they make as much as some of the others? Is a little bit more frustrating because sometimes you could take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Yeah, I get it. There's people out there like Victor S.A. and Tim O'Neill and that have done so much data. They're like, Max, I get one that does well and then the other doesn't. And then I got fighting back and forth and I break even and I make a couple bucks. I get one great week out of the month. And then all of a sudden I get 3 bad weeks, but I'm still making some. Victor S.A. told me he hasn't gone a month without making money yet. He may have a good day or a bad week, but he doesn't have a bad month. So to me, that kind of information is important. So the TNT signals work. The TNT system works. The Zedon system for the TNT works. We have the Zedon. We have the automation system. And even in this system, there's multiple things that you can do. We have the Dex Atomic network. Dex Atomic isn't just about the charts. It's about the arrows on the charts. We have the Dex Atomic the TV system, the Trading View network. Those charts and systems work really well. You want to use something that gives you an alert? That's it. You want to have a device in your hand and get an alert to your phone and for a signal and it gives you a number to go put onto Nadex? That's it. That's all there. We'll show you how to use it all. All depends on which way you want to go. And within each one of these, there's a couple different mentalities. There's an ATM at the money. There's an ITM in the money, and even an OTM out of the money. We show you how to operate on all of these within the manual process. There's even going to be a Dex Atomic Zedon, which is very powerful, that we'll be working on. A completely different way to attach and work, like we did back in the day with the TNT Trader. Zedon and this Dex Atomic Zedon system will be very powerful. I can tell you right now, trading in that 45-55 mentality of ATM, this is the most powerful mentality I've ever built before in strategy. And now with a little over-under process in there and some really just like finiting, you know, looking at Chris's numbers and other people's numbers is powerful. Money's being made. All right. You guys got anything you want to add? Throw at him, punch him in the head, talk about anybody who wrote in.
No, everybody.
Yeah, the folk. Sorry, this is Chris. For the folks who call in or write in, I answer a lot of those. I just need a favor. If you say, well, can you call me, or what's a good time to call, or whatever, if you can just give me a little hint as to what you'd like to talk about, just just one sentence, problem with account, or trading or whatever. It gives me an idea of, it gives me a mindset of what to expect when I do call you. That would be appreciated on my part. So that's all I have to add on that.
Cool. So just be weary of the time, you know. Also, you write something to Chris in the day and he's able to get to you, great, you know, but also give him a little heads up what it's about. This will help him prepare for if anything's there. We do have a phone number, but not always are we able to answer because we're all very, very busy. So please don't think that we're trying to ignore you or screening your calls or what have you. We want to answer and talk to all of you. If you leave a voicemail, our voicemail sometimes system goes through electronically, so it looks very eclectic to us. And I don't know, we've had some jokes about reading some of the stuff that it says that you say, but that just happens.
Every person who schedules with me, I guarantee I will call you back at the time. Yeah. Just remember, though, I'm on Eastern time. I did put a note in the sign up that all times are Eastern time. So if you're in California, give me a break, okay? You do the math. I'm not going to do the math.
3 hours difference. And I'll tell you, I've had it, right? 1 o'clock in the morning, the guy's like, it's only 11 o'clock here. It's not right. Like, listen, even calling me at 11 o'clock, come on, you know, you got to give me a break. All right. Also, lastly, is on that, right? When there's issues, when there's problems, and I said this yesterday, and I've had a couple people write in and apologize for being rude or what have you. This shit ain't easy. We built programs that nobody else in this world has ever built. You know, whether Apex Investing or the company overseas, the Israeli company, I forget what their name is. I even put them out of mind now. They all have built stuff that can attach to Nadex. There's a lot of people out there who can build stuff to attach to Nadex, but nobody has ever built a system that trades a signal base securely and gives you all the benefits of stuff that we have. Nobody's built that system. It doesn't exist anywhere. Okay. There's no manual for it. There's no, hey, oh, you could be able to fix that. Come on, Max. It's just a Google product. No, it's not. It's not something that's ever been made. It takes programmers and people who are a hell of a lot smarter than me. They keep breaking it. And every time it gets broken, every time it gets put to the side, we get in and fix it. But it takes time. My other programmer that is Matt, and he has a full-time job during Corona, making money for his family. He has time that he goes on vacation and has other things happening. He's not at our beck and call. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're here for the ZDON and you're not going to manually trade, that's completely fine. That's your prerogative. But you're not going to be in the den. I can't have you in the den. My system is not, we're not here to help you learn how to use the ZDON system, because I'm going to be very upfront with all of you. I don't care if the ZDON is here or not. I'm not going to depend on, I'm not going to put all my apples in the same cart on the act that the ZDON will be there. I'm going to act as if I can go in and trade at the drop of a hat anytime I want. And if I want to make $5,000, how do I go about doing that? Is that I go in there and I trade my manual system and I use my balance and I use my CVG and I use my strengths to be able to go do that. I'm not going to rely on the bot. The bot is strong and it has a great potential now with the 1 hour TNT signals and even the new stuff that's coming over for the Dex Atomic ZDON. But again, we've had to fight for this. We asked for people to help pay for some of the process, and we got some good people to come in. They gave us good money to be there. We got a lot done, but really it still wasn't enough. It wasn't even close to being enough. If you want the ZDON to be out and in your pocket and in your hand, we still need another program to come on full time, and besides myself, to help build it. So if you want to help support that, please do. Let me know. If you want to contribute to that, I'll rename it and partially your name, you know, be the Bob ZDON or whatever. You'll go on the wall of awesomeness. You've donated. There's a lot of great people that have donated, and if you haven't been able to donate, that's completely fine. But please, please be respectful when you come in. Be respectful with our time. Know that we are here to try to help as many people as possible, but we can't help everybody. All right. You guys got nothing else? We'll call it the day for today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a webinar. It's at 3 p.m. So I hope my partners can make it. It's at 3 p.m. and we're going to house a lot of people from the den in that webinar. So if you're part of the program and you can make it to that first batch, you will be counted in. You will be addressed within that process as a den member, and you should be ready. If you show up to that webinar, you should be ready to start making decisions where you're going. It's sort of like a mass consult. Okay. If you're invited to this thing, if you come, it's basically like if you show up, we're going to count you. Okay. And we're going to get you into the process, and we're going to start that process tomorrow at 3 p.m. for you, which means that you're going to go into the DEX Start program, the Den Start program, and then the DEX Learn, and then Den Train, and also tracking. And you're going to put yourself through those processes as we help you along the way. We'll get you your Discord. We'll make sure that you got all the things that you need, all the tools you need. So by start of trade next week, you should be ready to go. By the 7th of July, you should be ready to go and go full force at either demo. Some of you might go through and learn a lot of this stuff. I got some real superstars in that room, by the way. David Menning took 2 weeks. He's a superstar, but he really paced himself. Some of you might go in a lot faster. You might be ready. You might have years of experience of trading the process and know where everything's at and how to make it work. And boom, you just start it. I get it. But let me tell you, once this hits, everybody and their mother's going to want to be in there. But you won't have that opportunity, because I'm serious when I say I'm closing it on the 7th. There'll be no green room people coming in. There'll be nobody else will be able to come into DEX for 6 months. And we're going to keep that door closed for a reason, because we want to focus on the wealth and securities of all those people that are coming in, that our promise is to get you to your idea of success and then help you build your wealth. That's what we're going to do for the next 6 months. So get ready. I look forward to working with you all. I'm Max Farrell. This is DexFX Markets. We'll see you next time. And as always, trade well.